Okay, so we'll be doing a few exercises. Again, remember, this is strength training 101. So this is not meant to be a total fitness class as such, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But I just want to take you through a few things, the fundamentals. That's why is 101 in terms of fitness and wellness. Okay, again, any of the activities that we do here, please do not do them. Please read that warning that I have highlighted here, that do not do any of these exercises without checking first with your doctor. Okay, so because I have no idea of your medical condition or your medical issues or any injuries that you have um, might have had or might be. So just to quickly just show you, this is my family. That's my wife, Jyotsna, and my daughter, Arohi, and Suyash, and they are all into health and fitness as well. And we had a great Thanksgiving for some of you. I know, Tara, you're joining from India, one of my friends from IIT. So thanks for joining, Tara. And so a few things I want to keep it brief, but I really want to tell you about a few key things in terms of physical activity, exercise, and uh, uh, some of the other benefits and why we, especially as South Asians, have some risks that are unique, that are genetic, and what can we do in terms of exercise, physical activity. Let me admit this here. I think J is on. Um, and then really the focus is going to be on strength and resistance training. And these terms are interchangeably used when we talk about strength and resistance training. And a lot of times what you might see is you may not know what exactly it is. And really, what are some of the practical ways to build your strength? And it's all about really functional fitness, and at the same time, what you're also going to see is there are a lot of cognitive benefits. That's the point that I think is missed very often when we think about exercise. People just think exercise is building muscles, building bones. Yes, that is true, but there are a significant amount of benefits in terms of cognitive benefits, in terms of lowering stress levels, and that in turn also affects your health. For example, 1/3 of the dementia is actually preventable if you're physically active. It's almost, think about it, right? 1 in 3 cases of dementia and many other neurodegenerative diseases, as well as chronic diseases. You know, South Asians are known to be prone or do have, because of their lifestyle, diets, genetics, epigenetics, we are known to be prone to chronic diseases such as diabetes. So again, these things will help you move in the right direction when it comes to physical activity and exercise. Um, One more thing, which is, uh, let me be very, very clear, even though this is all about resistance training and strength training, um, a road, one of the sayings we have is the road to six pack really begins in your kitchen. And the goal, of course, is not to get a six pack here. The goal is to get functional fitness. But the point being is it is a total myth to think that the exercise alone is enough. It is not. Okay. So the most important, honestly, is really your nutrition, and very quickly, given the time that we have that's limited, uh, none of the diets actually work. Okay, so that is it's not all about diets. So don't think about, and when I say diet, people saying, well, I'm just going to eat only this, or I'm just going to eat cabbage, or I'm just going to eat only drink green tea, etc. Those are most of the times they are fad diets. They do not work. What does work is smart food choices. Watch how many calories you consume, what's the quality of those calories, and the basic things, staying with whole grains, low salt, low fat. And again, low fat doesn't mean the carbs go up, and high protein and plant-based diets. Those are the big picture things, and they really work. And I'll be happy to share with you some of these slides, or my view graphs, which has additional links. So I'm not going to go through this. I'm not a nutritionist, but all I'm telling you is exercise and physical activity alone, it is nearly impossible. So if you in the US, if you had a huge Thanksgiving meal, and if your plan is to quote unquote burn off those calories, trust me, that is not going to work. Okay, so you need to watch what you eat to begin with. All right. So so that's a key point before we get into uh, physical activity. All right. So please keep that in mind. All right. Again, I'm not going to go through a lot of these things, but just yesterday night or overnight, you probably, depends on your time zone, but you saw these reports on another variant of the COVID virus, the COVID-19 virus. And again, exercise, right food, physical activity is really going to boost your immune system naturally, right? So again, just keep those things in mind. Yes, of course, we need to be vaccinated and we need to take all those precautions. That is absolutely correct. But in addition to that, you can kind of decrease your chances of getting infections, flu, and so on and so forth by staying physically active and give a boost to your natural immunity. All right. So again, I'm not going to be talking a lot about this, right? So what are some of the practical benefits in terms of staying physically active? And I want to make a distinction between exercise and physical activity. Exercise doesn't mean, or exercise means, what some of the things we might be doing today. But what I really want you to do is stay physically active. It means if you enjoy walking, go for walking. If you enjoy playing tennis, if you enjoy playing golf, if you enjoy swimming, uh, do that. All those things, will be very, very important. So it is often said that the best exercise for you is the one you can actually do and the one you like. Okay, so don't do things that you don't enjoy, right? Stay active. There are multiple ways to staying active. And as I mentioned before, there are multiple benefits in terms of enjoying activities of daily life, right? So if you can do strength training, if you can do weight training, if you can do some of these exercise, in terms of the big picture, again, you're looking for strength, you're looking for flexibility, you're looking for balance, okay? And that goes a long way in terms of avoiding injuries, avoiding falls, and even if you do fall or break, hopefully not, but if you do break a bone or if you do break a tendon, your chances of recovering are much, much better. And in the long term, uh, your, let me admit somebody here. Um, so your long-term outlook for life will be much better. And as I mentioned before, here in terms of, in addition to physical benefits, there are significant cognitive benefits. Stress reduction, I mentioned that before. There are all kinds of neurotransmitters that are really good for you in terms of they are released as a result of physical activity, as a result of being outdoors. If you can, if the weather is good, step out, go for a walk, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So neuroplasticity, right? Again, the ability to think, the ability to reduce the risks of depression, Alzheimer's, any kind of other neurodegenerative diseases, as well as diabetes and so on. So there are tremendous benefits to staying physically active, right? Again, the difference between exercise and physical activities is again, physical activity can just be walking around, or going for a run, going for a jog, whatever you enjoy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but and I know that we have a couple of physicians who are part of this audience. But one of the things that's often missed is, as South Asians, we have some very unique risks. And what that means briefly is your BMI, the number we are looking at, is really for most of us, it should be in the 23 to 26.9 range. Okay, if that is there, then it's actually higher. So if you look at the normal ranges for Caucasian populations versus South Asians, our BMI ideally to be in the healthy range should be under 23, 22.9. Okay, so we have some unique risks. And of course, I don't have the time to go through all of this here, but BMI itself, body mass index, that's BMI, uh, by itself doesn't tell you the whole picture because it's also the fat distribution. And most of us, most of the South Asians have a tendency to put on belly fat, okay? And that is actually more dangerous in terms of your health than subcutaneous fat that's around the other parts of your body. So again, we have very much unique risks. So again, what matters is your BMI as well as the waist to hip ratio. Those are the kind of things to really look out for, right? I'm not going to go through some of these slides here very quickly because we are still not quite in the midst, but we are still in the pandemic. It's not over yet. And again, having overweight, being overweight, not physically in shape, that does increase your risk for catching COVID-like infection. So again, there are some very good reasons for you to be staying active, all right? Um, so again, coming back to this, right? So very often the question is not how old are you, but how old are your arteries? And on one hand, obviously we cannot, at least not yet, we cannot reverse our chronological age. We cannot go back in time, but there are significant changes you can make to your lifestyle. Physical activity is one of them to really kind of go back in terms of your vascular age, right? So the question is, not how old are you, but you know how old are your arteries, right? And again, physical activity, exercise will really substantially reduce your risk of heart disease and all kinds of other diseases. So there are a lot of invisible exercises. This is something I already mentioned in terms of dementia and so on and so forth. And here is the thing, right? Uh, it's not a matter of, you know, whether you want to live till you are 70, 80, 90, 100, what have you. It's really what's the quality of life, right? Especially as you approach towards the last few decades, you know, do you want to be independent? Do you want to stay injury free? Do you want to really enjoy the life you can, right? So it's not about extending your life, but really improving your ability to enjoy life and to be staying independent. There are a lot of other practical benefits, right? In terms of back pain. Okay, I won't get into the details, but a lot of times, you know, you will see that the way we sit, the way our posture is, physical inactivity is what really causes a lot of back pain issues and a lot of this trouble. You know, it is not, trust me, these things are not part of growing old or aging. It is not. Okay, don't let somebody tell you that, oh, you know what, you're getting old, so you're going to be like this. Don't accept that. Okay, if you can be physically active, moderate activity, you don't need to spend a lot of time in the gym or exercising, but you can actually do this. And all of you know that this is a significant issue. And I just picked back pain as a common example. And there's actually a lot more to be said about this. I won't be able to catch it here, but a few things you can do in terms of look at how we sit, right? So very often, right, these seem to be things that we know, but again, just sitting upright, right, engaging your core, those kinds of things go a long way, making sure you have a chair in which your lower lumbar is supported, the monitor is at the right height, those kinds of things. And again, uh, you can actually not only reduce back pain, lower back pain, we hold a lot of tension in our shoulders, so you can actually reduce the odds of getting tension headaches. And trust me, the bottom of the screen that you see is actually often in the Seattle area and many other places is actually called Microsoft posture. And what that means is basically people who are into IT and all of us, whether we are into IT or not, we are looking at our cell phone, we are doing all kinds of things, and we get this curvature in the back where our shoulders are coming together. And that's really a big problem. So there are a few things you can do. The point I want to make with this is you can do a lot simply by making these small adjustments and just kind of taking a break. And I'm going to show you some of the shoulder opener exercises in a few minutes that we can do to correct for these things, right? So just being aware. Again, I'm not going to get into all the details here, but there are substantial benefits in terms of how exercise reduces physical activity, reduces the risks of all kinds of things in terms of high blood pressure, breast cancer, colon cancers, depression. So there are plenty of other benefits that you don't necessarily see, right? So here is the thing, right? So when it comes to exercise, okay, these are on the right-hand side. You see, those are the different forms or those are the different key elements, right? So cardio is one of them, right? So cardio could be running, swimming, bicycling, etc., etc. Strength building is something I'm going to show you today, resistance training. Balance is again very important. So if you, I know Tara, you teach yoga, so so that's awesome. So I think balance and mind body, these are all interconnected, right? So if you enjoy doing a yoga class, you know, I try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week. I join a class and I'm into that. So any of these things, they are all interconnected. Okay, so it's not it's not just one thing is right or the other thing is right. Keep it a mix, and that way you really maintain your strength, you maintain your heart function, you maintain your flexibility, right? So, and balance, and these are all connected to your mind and body, and that's why exercises or things like yoga or Tai Chi, they really will increase your mindfulness. That in turn will help you control what you eat, how you behave, how you react. You know, all those things will go hand in hand, right? So these things are absolutely critical. All right. Again, please reach out to me. This is like Anisha. She's in one of my classes that I teach on Sunday on Zoom. Uh, and again, you know, you can just see her little kids are following her. And so in your family, the reason I included her picture here is especially for women. I just want to spend a couple of minutes here talking about that. That if you are in your family, and the women have much more influence on the family's behavior, right? So that's number one thing. Your grandkids, your kids, your sister, you know, your sister-in-law, whoever, they are likely to follow your lead, right? So please encourage other people to get active, to stay fit, right? The other thing I'll mention is strength training in particular is really, really important for women because of the unique risks of osteoporosis and so on, right? So postmenopausal women have an increased risk for sorry, not heart attack, but for osteoporosis. That means weakening of bones. Osteo means bone and porosity in the bones. The bones will weaken. And so strength training is really, really important in terms of for women, especially, both for men and women. But really, I want to emphasize that point, right? And it doesn't have to be super heavy weights, as I'm going to show you. It can be light weights we use for this purpose, right? At the bottom, one of the other point I want to show you is simple things, just like we talked about sitting properly, engaging your core, sitting upright, right? Watching your posture throughout the day, right? And not slumping into your chair, right? Those kinds of things. In addition to that, a very simple exercise all of us can do right now here is deep breathing, right? So one of the things I want to point out to you is most people, if not most, many people breathe incorrectly, right? And deep breathing is a great simple way, right? This is also known as diaphragmatic breathing, deep breathing, same thing. This is a great way to reduce your stress. Okay, so what you see at the bottom of the picture is actually one of my students. So by daytime, I'm a program director at NSF, National Science Foundation, and I'm also a faculty member in engineering, right? So what you see is one of our students, former students, and she is actually Jenny Thrasher. She actually won the gold medal in 2016 Olympics, right? So not the 2020 Olympics, so 4 years back, 5 years back. She won the gold medal in rifle shooting, right? Uh, and so one of the things I asked her, I said, what do you do that is, and I was very surprised that she said one of the things they really do is to improve their concentration is deep breathing, right? So in one of those things, what you will see is top athletes, right? Whether they play professional football, professional cricket, your concentration and all that can be significantly improved. Your mindfulness can be improved by deep breathing. And what I want you to do right now is just put your left hand on your chest and put your right hand on your belly. And if you can, just close your eyes for a second. And when you take a deep breath in, your belly should rise. Okay, so just take a deep breath in and exhale, right? So again, just remember left hand on your chest, right hand on your belly. When you take a deep breath in, your belly should rise. Okay, so let's do it one more time. Right? So if you practice this deep breathing, even if you practice it for 5 minutes, 3 minutes throughout the day, it's a huge stress relaxer. Trust me. Okay, try it. Is one of those things that sounds too good to be true, but it is, right? And people like Tara, I know you practice yoga, so you know all about this. But just keep this in mind, please. That deep breathing is one of the, just like sitting, upright and sitting tight, engaging your core. Deep breathing is very, very powerful, and most people breathe incorrectly. And what do I mean by that? Most people, what they do is when you tell them to take a deep breath, the first thing they do is they suck in their stomach, right? They actually do exactly the opposite, right? And they raise their shoulder. And most of us have what is called as upper chest breathing, right? So that is incorrect. Okay, and if this is not clear to you, please connect with me later, and I'll explain this to you again, or talk to one of the people you do know about deep breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, right? So make sure what little infants and what little babies, how they breathe correctly, right? They have diaphragmatic breathing. So that is the way to do it. And most of us actually then grow up to do something different, all right? So deep breathing is very, very important, right? So in terms of strength training, I just want to keep track of time here, make sure we're not running too late. All right, we have time. So what happens, one of the things that you may or may not notice is once you are above the chronological age of 30, this is where our muscle mass begins to decrease naturally. There is nothing we can do about this. So this is known in medical terms, is known as sarcopenia. And this is really the loss of muscle as we go above this, right? Above the age of 30, the muscle mass begins to decrease. So if you don't do anything about this, let me just admit somebody here 1 second. If you
Sorry, can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
All right, sorry, my apologies for that. What I was saying is, uh, uh, if we don't, if we do strength training, if we do resistance training, then that's how you can compensate for the loss of muscle mass, right? So ultimately, if we, the goal is to really Again, I'm not going to go through this, the details of now, but this is what we really need to do is muscles are like you use them or you lose them, right? So that's why if you see even the astronauts or cosmonauts, when they go to space, when they come back, right? In space, there is no gravity. So when they come back, their bones and their muscles get weaker. And that's why they have to really make sure they keep exercising even in space. So we have to really build our muscle, right? And the way to do this is really what is called as through progressive resistance training. That means we slowly start to add more and more resistance to the way we build our muscle so that we can compensate for this natural muscle loss. And you actually will begin to burn fat, because what happens is muscle technically doesn't become fat, right? But what does happen is you are basically consuming similar amounts of food calories. So your intake becomes similar and your muscle mass has gone down. So you're not really able to burn those calories through the natural metabolic rate or metabolic processes, right? So really what's happening is if you maintain the muscle mass, muscles take more energy to function, right? If you're more muscular or if you have more muscle mass, you are going to be burning more calories even after you finish your workout, right? So after you finish your workout, of course, that's going to help you. But because now you have more muscle, so your body mass composition is going to be changing. And this is very, very important concept for you to understand, right? And this is why I like to emphasize strength training uh, as opposed to, or in addition to, I should say, cardio. So strength training, you really building your muscle, and that is really going to help with your basic metabolic rate. And this is why muscle or strength building is absolutely important. And really, if you really want to see a change in your body composition, right? So if you have a lot of belly fat, in general, if you have a lot of fat, the way to do it is not like going crazy on cardio, right? That is helpful, of course. But in addition to that, you really need to put time into strength training, right? So there is the term there called post-exercise oxygen consumption. That's a fancy way of saying that if you have more muscles, you're going to be continue to burn more calories, and also some of the other issues, right? The strength training is not simply about building muscles, but it also builds your bones. And again, going back to what I said about women and osteoporosis and all kinds of other conditions, right? You will actually gain significantly in terms of avoiding the risk of falling down because you have stronger muscles, stronger bones. So that's why strength training is really, really the key here, right? I'm going to skip some of this. Again, the point I've made here was women should be doing more strength training. It is not very complicated. The reason why a lot of people shy away from this is because when you go to the gym or when you go to an exercise room, people get intimidated and they don't want to be engaged where most of the other people are men and those kinds of things. And what I want to show you is you don't even need to go to the gym. We can all do this at home. You can do it with some simple exercises. We can do it without, more or less without any equipment. Okay, so the focus again here is going to be, again, I'm not going to be able to do everything here, but really what you really want to do is focus on your core strength, right? So there are things we'll do, I'll show you today with respect to upper body strength, lower body strength, and these are always exercises, these are kind of go-to exercises such as bridges, planks, I'll show you some deadlifts. I'm going to show you some bicep curls, tricep curls, and lunges. And the point I want to make with you is almost always the people that you see in these pictures, they are professional models, right? We are not trying, and they will show you all kinds of very difficult things, but if we can do some simple things and you'll still be gaining a lot of benefit from this, right? And when I say core strength, I'm not talking about just the six pack. That's not those are just the front abs, as they are called. but really the core is all around your stomach area, right? And including your back and those kinds of muscles. And really the core strength is absolutely functional, because here is why, right? If I have a stronger core, and if I'm lifting something from the ground, okay, if I can engage my core, my back muscles don't need to take as much weight, right? So the reason why we go to, pull something from a shelf, we try to pick something from the floor, and then your back hurts, or you pull a muscle, or this happens or that happens. The reason is, if you don't have a stronger core, all the other muscles, they end up taking the load that the core should really be taking, right? So that's how most of the injuries happen. So this is really why I want to emphasize core strength in strength training, right? And then, like I mentioned here, there are exercises we can do to strengthen our upper body, lower body, and of course, as I mentioned, core strength. And the whole idea is to gain functional fitness, all right? So let me just do this. What I'm going to do is I'll be happy to share these slides with you. A couple of things before we, and again, please remember what I said earlier on, is do not do these exercises that I'm about to show you because I have no idea what your medical condition is or medical issues are. But if you start any program, safety is important, and that safety will start by making sure you have a clear from your primary care doctor, somebody who knows you as a patient. So do not engage in these things. If you have an injury, some of the exercises may not be appropriate for you. So you always want to have that injury prevention approach. So strengthening without getting hurt, right? That's what the whole process is, right? That's very, very key. Whether you do any exercise, we want to strengthen our bodies, strengthen our minds, strengthen our spirit, but without getting hurt, right? So having the right exercise equipment, making sure we are hydrated, paying attention to the weather, paying attention to the surroundings, safety is absolutely important. And the last that you see on this slide is really, you may not be able to read it, I'm not sure, is listening to your body. There is some level of discomfort when we do exercise, some level of challenge there, right? So we want to, if you want to see change, you want to challenge yourself. Just remember that, okay? But at the same time, the idea no pain, no gain, that's not true. We don't want pain. There is a difference between pain and discomfort, right? If you're a little bit discomfort or uncomfortable, that's okay. But you don't want to have any sharp shooting pain and just kind of think you're still okay. That's not okay, all right? So just watching some of these things is absolutely important, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I have a few more things to show you, but what I want to do instead is really, I want to show you some simple exercises that we can do. And so let me just start with a few things. And here are some of the things that I want to show you, right? So here is, let's start with some upper body exercises, right? So here is a dumbbell, and if you don't have a dumbbell, you can, like I said, you can pick a water bottle, even a food can, that works nicely, right? So you can just take a food can or a water bottle, that works nicely, right? So here is the exercise, for example, with biceps, right? I hope you can see me, right? So the bicep exercise, we always want to take like this is a bicep curl, right? So I'm just kind of moving this dumbbell up and down and up and down, right? So what's the trick here, right? So a lot of times what happens is people tend to kind of just, there are a couple of things. One is people will do this. One, so what's wrong with this, right? I'm using a lot of my body momentum, right? I'm using my back muscles. So this is really not right way to do it, and you can hurt yourself, right? So the goal is to have a weight, right, in which you can do 2 or 3 sets of 10 repetitions each, right? So when you hear a trainer say reps, we are talking about really repetitions, right? And so you should be able to do 10 repetitions like this. I'm not going to do 10 here, but just to show you how I'm doing it, right? So that's, taking it up and bringing it down, okay? That's one repetition, okay? Now, the second thing to watch out for is when I'm pulling the weight up, right? What's happening to this muscle, right? So focus on your muscle. This muscle is getting shorter, right? The bicep muscle is getting shorter. So that is the concentric phase of the exercise, right? And obviously it takes me, this is where the resistance is. The weight is my resistance, right? I'm bringing it up, right? So when I bring it up, okay, the muscle is shorter. Now, if you are not careful, it's very easy to let the gravity just let it fall, right? So when I'm bringing the weight down, right, this is the so-called eccentric phase of the exercise, right? That eccentric means now the muscle is longer, right? So one of the things you can really do right is to make sure, let's do this on a count of 4, right? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, up, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, down, right? Let's repeat this one more time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, up. And then it's going to be bringing it down slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, right? So keep this in mind. So what I just used in there, right, is called a 4-4 tempo, right? A lot of times if you go to a gym, and that's why this is intro to strength training, right? So you join a strength training class and the teacher or the instructor says, let's do a 3-3 or a 2-2 tempo, right? Or they 4-4 tempo, right? So what they mean by that, if it's 4-4-4, that's what we just did, but it may also be, depends upon how you're training, it may be just 1, 2 up, 1, 2 down, 1, 2 up, 1, 2 down. All right. So again, the point being is pay attention to the tempo, and very often don't make the mistake of let the weight just kind of drop down, right? That's not, you don't want gravity to be your friend when it comes to exercise. That's why it is called resistance training. So the resistance is going to be taking not only the weight up, that's obviously you are working against gravity, but also resist it. See, that's why it's called not weight training, it's resistance training. So you hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and you see that difference, right? So this is now for the biceps, all right? Now, the other thing to remember is, remember what I said about mind-body connection. So when we are doing these exercises, any exercises, I want to bring my mind to the muscle, right? The muscle that I'm training, right? So I really want to think about bicep. You look at it, right? Look at it, look at it, look at it, and then let it go down, right? Right? So paying attention to which muscles you're training, that has been shown to increase the efficacy or effectiveness of that exercise by about 5 to 10%, right? So I don't want you to be just going through the motions here, right? Boom. And I'm thinking about, oh, what new movie has come in, or what am I going to have? I'm going to be so hungry after this exercise. What am I going to be eating? Or I have this call after this, and stuff like that, right? So that's point number one, right? Bringing mind awareness to the muscles, right? The second thing, remember, is the functional side of it, right? All these exercises that I'm going to show you, I'll show you a few more. So they can be done anytime, right? They can be done, you can literally have a can of food or water bottle, and you can do these, if you have 5 minutes, do this, do 5 bicep curls, do 10 push-ups. I'm going to show you how to do these things. So the point is, you don't have to wait for an hour and says, oh my God, I don't have time to do this. No, you are on a conference call, put the person on the speakerphone, and you can do, I'll show you a few exercises. You can do these anytime, right? So build those into your daily habits, daily working out, and all that adds up, right? So let me show you one more exercises, and I'll just go on the carpet here so you can hopefully see me a little better, right? So this is about tricep extension. So I'm having the same dumbbell. I'm just going to hold it up, straight up, and I'm just going to bring it back like this. All right. So triceps are the muscles that are, and again, I'm going to use, maybe I'll just use a 1, 2, 3 tempo here, right? So 1, 2, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3 down, right? So I'm just bending only at my elbows here. So take the dumbbell up or water bottle or food can and just bring it down, right? So here, so 1, 2, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3 down. That's considered one repetition, right? So for every exercises, whether it's biceps curls, tricep extension, triceps are the muscles on the back of your arm here, right? So the point is you should be able to do 10 or 12 repetitions like this, and hopefully you can do 2 sets. Okay. The reason I mention that is you don't want to have a weight that's too heavy or too light. If you cannot do 10 of these, let's say between 8 to 12, right? If you cannot do 8 to 12 of each exercise, right, that means the weight is too heavy, right? And if you just do, you do 10, 12 and you say, oh my God, like I didn't feel anything, I could have done another 20, right? That means the weight is too light. Okay, so find your right weight for that particular exercise. Okay, now let me show you another exercise, which is about, and again, there are endless number of exercises, but let me just show you quickly what these are and what some of the variations are and what some of the precautions we need to take. So this is, for example, we can do this with, so I'm going to pick lighter dumbbells here because this is about shoulder, right? So I'm going to bring these dumbbells here, right? And this is just kind of pressing it up, straight up, and then bringing it down slowly, right? So again, I'm going to take, say, count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 up, and 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Okay, so that's one exercise, right? You can do the same thing lying on the floor, and that will become a chest press, right? So if I'm just on the floor, it will become a chest press. The reason when I do these shoulder exercises, I want to be very careful because I don't want to take a heavier weight, because shoulder joints are incredibly complicated, right? And we have to strengthen our rotator cuffs. We have to strengthen these joints, but you want to be careful, right? So if I'm doing what is called as a front raise, I'm just going to bring the weight up. I'm not going to swing it up all the way. I'm just going to bring it up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it, and then bring it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, down, right? So that's a front raise. I can do the same thing on the lateral raise, right? And then bring it down slowly. Each one I'm showing you is a different exercise, right? So the point being, bring your mind to the muscle, whether it's bicep, tricep, shoulders, what have you. That's number one. Number two, the right weight is the one where you can actually do 8 to 12 reps for each exercise, right? So 8 of the shoulder presses, right? 8 of the front raises, right? 8 of the side raises. Each one is a different exercise. 8 bicep curls, 8 tricep extension, and so on, right? You get the idea. So that's mainly about upper body, right? Then let me again just keep track of time. Yeah. So then some of the lower body exercises I can show you is, and again, I'm just going to use this as a simple exercise, right? So I got a chair here, right? And so these are lunges, right? So what I'm going to do is for the lunges, I'm going to put one foot on one kind of side of my exercise mat. The other foot is on the other side. So think about railroad tracks, right? So the right foot is on the right side of the railroad track. The left foot is on the left side of the railroad track. And I'm just going to lower myself slowly, right? So here, I'm just going to lower myself and then come back up, 1, right? And then I'm going to just go down again, and then 2. Those are lunges, right? The best thing to do is, if you're not used to this, is that's why I asked some of you to get a chair, is really hold on to the chair, right? And then use support, right? So it's going to be use the chair. So the chair is on my left-hand side. So it's going to be very, very easy. 1, right? 2, and so on, right? So this is really going to help you strengthen your quads, your glutes, right? Your thighs, and really build lower body strength. So this is lunges. And again, remember, if you go for a walk in on your in your neighborhood park, outside or whatever, right? So you can just do lunges. One, you take a few steps, position yourself correctly, do a lunge, come back up, and then take a few more steps, and so on. So you can build some of these in your workouts. They don't need to be standalone exercises, right? There are lots of modifications of the lunges. So what we did here was a static lunge, right? So meaning my feet are already anchored and I'm just doing back, up and down, up and down. You can also do dynamic lunges in which I will move the foot forward and then go back, right? And then move the other foot and come back. So when we do these, the other thing I want to emphasize is maintaining the right form to avoid injuries. So you don't want to lean into the lunge too much. You want to keep your chest up. So maintaining, so I don't want to do this. Okay, that's totally wrong. Okay, and then come back up. That's not going to do much. Okay, so just again being aware of what you're doing, maintaining the right form, that's absolutely important. Okay, so the other one I can show you is called deadlifts. So deadlifts is I'm going to hold the dumbbells and keep a flat back and just kind of lower myself slowly, keep a flat back, bring the dumbbells close to my shins, and then just come back up slowly, right? So that's a deadlift, right? So just go down and then come back up slowly. When I do this, the most important thing is to keep the weights in contact with your body, right? Don't let the weights hang out, right? Keep the dumbbells or the weights in contact with your body. Keep a flat back, don't round your back. Keep flat back and just come back up slowly, right? So this is called as a deadlift exercise, okay? A few other things, which is, so these are some examples of, there are many different exercises, but you can just see you're strengthening your upper body, you want to strengthen your lower body, right? Through combination of these exercises. And you can, of course, challenge yourself in multiple ways. For example, as you advance, you can do the lunges with a weight, right? So I can just do this, right? And so on. So, but at the same time, you just want to be careful and really increase. That's why I use the term progressive resistance training. So you can slowly make it more and more and more challenging. All right. A few last things I'll show you is about the core strength, right? So one of the simplest things you can do for core strength is really an exercise called plank. So you can do this with straight arms straight up like this, right? I hope you can see me. Okay. So here, if I'm doing plank, I'm just holding myself like a plank. So I'm not going to stick my butt up, or I'm not going to be lowering myself like this. All right. So plank means the body should look like a plank. If this is too challenging, just do it on your forearms, right? And just do it on your forearms and just hold on like this. That is totally fine. What this does is really it engages your core, right? And initially, even if you can do it for 10 seconds, go for it. 20 seconds, go for it. Before you know it, it's really going to be very effective, right? So plank is one exercise that is really good. Push-ups, right? Again, this is an intro class, so you can just do a regular push-up, even if you do one. If that is too challenging, so your regular push-up is just holding on and then going down and coming back up, right? That's your regular push-up. If this is too hard, bring your knees to the floor, okay? So bring your knees down, right? And just do this and just come back up. Start with something like this, right? So don't make it too hard because you'll do better if you just kind of do it this way, right? So keep doing this, if this is too challenging, you can always do wall push-ups, right? You find a wall, right? And just do wall push-ups, right? So just kind of go here. I hope you can see me, right? And just kind of go against the wall, right? How difficult is that, right? 10, give yourself, if you have 5 minutes, do 10 wall push-ups, all right? So you can, again, no time is not a good excuse really for exercising. Build this into your workout, right? A few other ones you can do for core is what is called as bird dog. So I'm in this all fours position, right? All four means my wrists are under my shoulders, my knees are under my hips. Stick out your right hand and left leg and hold it for a count of 10, 5, whatever number works for you, thinking about length, right? And then switching sides, right? So again, this is a really, really core stability exercise, right? And we do this in yoga all the time, right? So some of those exercises are very, very useful. The last one I want to show you, which is again a functional exercise, which is very, very useful, is something called a squat, right? So when we do a squat, what I want to see is, I hope you can see this chair here. One way to think about it is I'm just going to either put my hands behind my head, what is called as a prisoner squat, right? Or you can put your hands in front. And what I'm going to be really, this is very effective, by the way, and it looks simpler, but what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is stick my hips back, right? And then lower myself down as if I'm going to sit in the chair and then come back up, right? And keep the weight in the heels, right? So I'm just not just going to sit like this and get up, right? That's not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push my hips back, right? Hands can be here, hands can be here. I'm just going to lower myself down and then just push through the heels. Keep the weight in the heels, right? Not in the front. You should be able to lift your toes. Honestly, if you have few minutes, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do 10 squats, right? And they're just called chair sit-ins or chair sit-ups. And there are, of course, variations of this, which are more challenging. So you can, again, you can hold the dumbbell like this, right? What is called as a sumo squat. And then I'm just going to, the idea is the same, right? The most important thing is stick your hips back first and then lower yourself as much as you can, and then push through your glutes, push through your legs, come back up, right? So squats, any form of modified squats, any kind of push-ups, right? Any kind of modified planks, those are your core strengthening exercises, all right? The form is most important. So if you don't try to just do too much, that's a good way to get hurt. So start slow, build it up. Trust me, a plank that you hold today for 10 seconds, if you can do one push-up today, in a month, 1 month time, it will be 5 push-ups. And before you know it, it will be 10, 15 push-ups that you can do. And you'll actually begin to see the change in your body composition. All right. So I hope there's a lot more I could go on to say, but I think in the interest of time, I just want to leave a few minutes for any questions and answers. Obviously, I cannot answer questions that are specific to you or your medical issues or conditions. I'm not a doctor, so leave that to your doctor. But if there are any general questions, I'm happy to take a few questions here. All right. So anybody who has a question, please feel free. We still have we are almost, we started at 8, slightly after 8:35 by East Coast time. So it's up on the hour now, but I want to leave about 5 or 10 minutes if you have any questions. So please unmute yourself and then don't forget to mute yourself again once we are done. Do I have regular classes in Pittsburgh? Yes, Jayant, I do on Sunday mornings. Just shoot me a message on pradeepphule@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to connect with you. And if you just want to write down my number, you can just send me a message at 412-445-3744. 9280-412-445-9280. Those are on Sunday mornings. All right. Any other questions?
It was a nice introduction. And of course, there's a lot of similarity between yoga and the training. For the mind-muscle connection, we just take attention to our breath also. So then it becomes easier. Just nice. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Tara. I'm so glad you joined. Good to see you after a long time. But thank you for joining. I know you teach yoga in India, so I think that's awesome. So yeah, again, my number is Jayant. My number is 412-445-9280. 412-445-9280. And the email is just my first name, last name, Pradeep Fulay @gmail.com. So that's my email. Either way, you can send me a message. All right. Any other questions?
Thanks, Pradeep.
Thank you, Manandas. Thank you for joining. So really appreciate it.
Oh.
All right. So one more time, any other question? If anybody has any questions. All right.
One thing, thank you. I just wanted to ask you one thing. So after you finish your training, do you have something like a relaxation meditation or something like that?
So, we do deep, actually, that's a good question. So at the end of so we do some stretches in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the class. So the way the class is structured is there is what is called as dynamic warm up. So in which we will do simple things. It could be just running in place, those kinds of activity just to get your heart rate up. That's important. Then we get into some of the upper body, lower body training and core strength training, and then that's followed by some yoga type stretches, as well as some deep breathing. But within 1 hour, I can only do so much. So Sangeeta, I missed your question. I know I saw it on the TV here. So can you just let me know what the question is very quickly?
First of all, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks, Pradeep, for a great talk. My friend Tarun and I were doing some of the exercises alongside you. I told him that you're an accomplished triathlete, but he still wanted me to ask, how can he get a body like yours?
How long before I get a body like yours?
I'm not sure how to answer that one. But I think all I can tell you, it's not simply about how you look, but how you feel. And it does stay with it, no matter what you do, stay with it, and you will begin to see the difference. You'll begin to see how you feel, how strong you are in everyday activities of life. So I think stay with it. And I try to do something or the other, one of the exercises almost every day. Strength training is something that has immensely helped me, as well as other exercises, swimming and triathletes or bicycling and so on. They also help, because one of the other things, Arun, if I got your name right, Sangeeta, if I got his name right, is cross training. The idea of training, not just doing one thing. Right? So strength training, one thing I forgot to mention is do it 2 times a week. This is not something I want you to do every day, every single day. That's not good. But really, you want to do as much cross training. So some days you go for a walk. If you go for a walk, one of the things I mentioned, Tarun, sorry, my bad, Sangeeta, Tarun. So one of the things I forgot to mention is the idea of interval training. It doesn't need to be high intensity interval training. High intensity may not be right for some people. They might get hurt in doing so. But if you go for a walk, right? Don't just walk at a leisurely pace throughout 30 minutes or 40 minutes of your walk. Try to run for 10 seconds, okay? Try to jog for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Then let your heart rate come back up or come back down, and then walk for another minute or 2 minutes, and then again run or jog for 20 seconds and do this, right? If you're on an elliptical in a gym, same thing, try to do it at a higher speed for 10 or 20 seconds, And then that has been shown to be very, very effective as well. So that idea of interval training and not just going steadily and, at a relaxed pace all the time. So that's how you can really train yourself, and you can really make a difference in how you feel, how you look, all of those things. And the strength training, I can assure you, you will change your body composition. That is for sure. You lose fat, and you'll lose fat for good, not something. And what I mentioned earlier on is nutrition is absolutely key. All right. Anup saying thank you. Yeah, thank you, Anup. Thanks, everybody. So, Tara, thanks for joining. Say hello to your husband. He was in my hostel before. So, talk to you guys later. And I will make the recording available to people who I know and I trust because of privacy issues and things like that. But if you do have somebody who wants to see it, I'll make it available. Okay. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to
Bye.
end the meeting now. Thank you. Bye-bye.